with.
That's really weird. Okay.
Right. But do
they know roughly like what date it may have? No? Okay.
No. They have no idea where it came from. The only thing they know is that it appears to be splattered with a little bit of blood, and it has strange writing on it. And there's serpentine icons on it.
Okay. That's unsettling.
There's two different things about the summoning tablet. Right now it's on tour.
It's on tour.
It is, with the Traveling Museum of Paranormal and Occult. But when they bring it back and they test it in the hotel, there are two different things that happen. So oftentimes people assume that it kind of quells the activity that's around it. So the activity generally ceases when that's in the areas.
Like maybe it's like a ward?
Correct.
Yeah.
And then some people, after it's brought to certain rooms, have experienced a lot more activity.
That's really interesting, actually.
Quote, it appears to shut down paranormal activity in its vicinity. One of the former residents had tried to drive away maybe ghostly activity is what they're kind of assuming is happening. The board also apparently has had aggressive attacks near it. Quote, touched by freezing cold phantom hands. They feel as though they've been touched by freezing cold.
So like people that are around it feel that? Okay.
Yeah. And then they've also noticed a lot of equipment failure directly near it. The courthouse apparently is also haunted. It's the third inception of the courthouse. Mm-hmm. That courthouse was the one that had originally survived the fire. Okay. I didn't find a ton on that, except for the fact that they run a haunted house in there during Halloween. They have, obviously, in the courthouse, they had seen gruesome Confederate deaths and prison inmates somehow floating through the halls, but once again, there's not a ton of evidence for that. We would like to take the ghost tour, but it will be a minute. So because there wasn't a ton of information on the hotel, even though that's the most crazy information.
Yeah.
I went and had expanded it to the entirety of the town.
Okay. Yeah. Good, though. Yeah.
Right. So they have the Rippy Mansion.
The what?
The Rippy Mansion. So it's R-I-P-Y.
Okay. All right.
And that's how it's said to pronounce it. That's how I know to pronounce it. But if there's another way, let us know, and I'm sorry.
shotsinthedarkpodcast@gmail.com.
The thing is, this particular place is amazing. This is why we took picklebacks to harken back to when I lived in Indiana.
Okay.
And like real close to Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And also Jim Beam. So in 1888, Wild Turkey Tycoon Thomas B. Rippey, who inherited the bourbon business from his family.
Stop.
He eventually had 10 children and obviously his wife.
Okay.
After he had died, they did some things.
Okay.
So going there now is, quote, a real episode of Scooby-Doo.
I love Scooby-Doo.
Yeah, right. So, quote, Scooby-Dooified the mansion to avoid the federal laws associated with prohibition. So his wife was a smart enough lady that she had gotten the permit to have a smaller amount, because during prohibition, you could get a permit to make a small amount of whiskey and or liquor.
Okay.
To use as medicinal means.
Oh, okay.
And tinctures, obviously. And
solid.
And
I'm
whatever.
on board with it. Yeah.
Right. She realized that she was losing quite a bit of profit, so she had paid contractors to construct secret compartments, trapdoors, hidden staircases, secret rooms, and a labyrinth basement.
Yes!
To hide hundreds and hundreds of barrels of her Wild Turkey bourbon.
Oh my God, that's amazing! So good. It's amazing!
Some are still located in the basement. Some historians are still sure that there are unfound and different waiting to be found compartments.
Oh my God.
From that time period.
Oh my God, can we go find all the whiskey? Oh.
You'll never find me again. You'll be like, where'd Whitney go?
She fell into the whiskey well.
She fell in the whiskey well. And this is probably one of my favorite facts about any crime trial ever.
Okay.
She got caught. When she was caught with a large quantity in the basement, they took her to court. The whiskey was confiscated, and the family, were convicted. Here's the thing. This is where it becomes funny. They started an appeals process.
Okay.
Directly after the stenographer had died, and no one could read their writing.
Oh my God. What?
They won their appeal.
Oh my goodness.
After that, she had contacted another out-of-work distiller from Kentucky, Joseph Beam.
Oh my God.
I told you there was a reason. Not that there needs to be a reason for whiskey, but still.
Oh my God.
Both had moved their distillery piece by piece to Juarez, Mexico. Whereas Mexico would allow Americans that had come down to the distilleries to enjoy bourbon once again during the Prohibition.
And I get the shot now. Yes.
I know. So eventually they had sold the Rippy house. The new tenant, Hermit, kept everything completely closed.
Okay.
This particular area had a lot of bourbon that was there. Campari actually recently has, for everything that was lost in the Prohibition era, has released 2 different whiskeys. One of them is Old Rippy. No kidding. The eccentric lady, and that's a quote. Eccentric lady.
The eccentric lady.
Which everything that I hear about from the way that she decorated only makes me want to be her friend.
I can't wait to hear how she decorated because I'm pretty sure that I'll be satisfied.
The only floor that she lived on, like I said, everything else was boarded up.
Okay.
Was covered in animal print. Rooms are wallpapered with bright and mismatched colors.
Solid.
There
okay.
are odd possessions that are in those areas. And then she had gold bathrooms. In 2010, fearing that the house would be torn down, the descendants of the Rippy family had come back and had acquired the house.
Okay.
There's actually something online right now to help fund the restoration.
Okay, solid, cool.
They think that Thomas, the person that had acquired it from his ancestors and continued to brew bourbon and beautiful things, they think that he's still haunting the mansion. He had died in the house, had his funeral in the house, which is not uncommon.
Uncommon for yeah. I mean, I was about to say that, yeah.
So they've actually gotten EVPs. An investigator had talked to what they thought was the person that was inhabiting the house, and they're like, how do you feel about the house?
Yeah.
Who built the house? An unknown entity said, quote, I did. What should the new owners do? Quote, fix it. Which may or may not harken back to the fact that a lot of people obviously are trying to restore it. Obviously, it's part of the National Register of Historic Places, but there are ornate Greek carvings.
Oh.
Stained glass windows with cryptic messages about planetary and celestial maps, and compasses etched into the wood at most of the landing sites of the staircases.
That is very strange.
They're still undeciphered.
I love it.
Right.
I think that I need to live there.
Right? So there are a lot of shadow figures. There are quite a few different people talking, and a lot of them are caught on film or audio.
Shadow people? I don't like shadow people.
Some people see an image of a man in the home. There are sounds of children and or a party in the vacant home, no matter who's there or who's obviously not there. Doors will slam shut. Light bulbs that were left on a mantle were moved while the room got colder when people were trying to restore it.
No thanks.
Currently, a headless doll now sits on top of the fireplace mantle. It was found.
Great.
It was found inside of a wall already without its head.
Shut the fuck up. What? And somebody was like, yeah, let's stick this right on the fireplace mantle.
They've never actually seen it move.
Okay, I still don't love it.
There's a thump from another room, and people often hear, quote, get out and or good night when they leave. And that's kind of what I have on it, besides obviously like doors closing on their own. It's the same
crazy,
as everything
man.
else. But yeah, that's my story.
Your story was so good.
Well, your story was really good, but it was really sad.
My story was really sad. Raise your glass, my love.
In order to make the horror of our true crime segment better, we try to do a toast at the end.
That's right.
Obviously, cheers with us with not water.
Because it's bad luck.
Because it's bad luck. But whatever's in your hand, whether or not you drink or not.
May you work like you don't need the money. Love like you've never been hurt. Dance like no one is watching. Screw like it's being filmed.
Girl.
And drink like a true Irishman.
Which is you. It's not me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
If you're not already following us, then we're on Instagram. We are Shots in the Dark Podcast. We also have a Snapchat.
A Twitter.
At
Shots in Dark P.
You can email us, definitely, shotsinthedarkpodcast@gmail.com.
And if you could possibly, you can go on Google Play and or iTunes and review us. That'd be super cool.
Give us a nice rating.
We really hope for that.
Write us a nice review.
And we're trying so hard to get better at our audio. So bear with us on that.
Thanks for kicking back and settling in and listening to us talk about the things that we love and talk about in our daily lives anyway.
Right.
Because this is basically like a regular thing for us, isn't
right.
it?
From both of us here at Shots in the Dark, we hope we've left you shaken.
Not stirred.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.